A state question was just filed that, if passed in 2026, would shake up Oklahoma's primary election process and possibly the state's electoral outcomes. And the nonprofit Oklahoma United is helping lead the charge to get it passed. I'm your host, 7 News political analyst Justin Allen Rose, and this is For the Record. Currently, Oklahoma's primary elections are considered to be semi-closed. This means only registered Republican voters can cast ballots in the Republican Party's primaries, while registered Democrats and independents can cast a ballot only within the Democratic Party's primary election. Now, if this newly filed State Question 835 passes, then that system would be overhauled. Instead of the process I just described, Oklahoma voters would see every candidate running within a primary on one single ballot. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and even Libertarians would all be located on one ballot for the voter to choose from. Now, once the polls close on primary election night and all the ballots are counted, the top two vote getters, regardless of their political party, would advance from the primaries to the general election, which means we could see two Republicans on the general election ballot for one race, or we could even see two independents, or we could see a Libertarian and a Democrat, or possibly even an Independent and a Libertarian. It all depends on who the voters choose. While the state question still needs to hit close to 200,000 signatures to make it on the ballot in 2026, the mere suggestion of it engendered a lot of pushback, and pretty much all of it is coming from the Republican side. Oklahoma Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell was one of those pushing back. In response, Pinnell said, quote, "At best, the push to mandate open primaries is a solution in search of a problem, and at worst, it is a thinly veiled attempt to weaken Republican voters in choosing the nominees to represent our party. Oklahoma is a conservative state, and Republicans hold all the statewide and federally elected positions for a simple reason. Our values represent the will of our state's voters. I would hope the current primary structure would incentivize independents and conservative Democrats to register as Republicans and help choose our party's nominees." Unquote. Another Republican, but this time one residing in the Oklahoma Senate, even suggested making it harder for Oklahomans to get state questions on the ballot. That state senator is David Bullard. He said, quote, "To protect Oklahoma, we need policies that require state question signature gatherers to collect signatures in dozens of counties, which would align with legislation I filed in the past." Unquote. And should it be surprising that the party who is currently in control and who would also have nothing to gain from changing the current system to be the ones openly opposing this state question? Earlier in August, I had the chance to sit down with Margaret Kobos, who leads Oklahoma United. We spoke about this open primary proposal and why she believes it would be the best for the Sooner State. Here is that conversation. Margaret, thank you for joining me on this podcast. I'm really excited to talk with you and talk about you, your organization, and what you're trying to do in terms of, I believe, in 2025 for that ballot, correct?
Well, actually, things are underway for us to get on a November 2026 ballot. The process for a citizen petition, which is, of course, the way that we would need to do this, is pretty lengthy. We've been working on it for years now, a few years, doing all of our research and our legwork. And right now we're very excited because we're kind of in the final stage of that preparation process. And I'm looking for our team being prepared to file language with the Secretary of State pretty soon. And then the goal would be to be on that November 2026 ballot for the state of Oklahoma to decide if they want something new and different.
So you just said to decide, or for Oklahoma to decide whether or not they want something new and different. What is that something new and different? What is it that they're going to be voting on, at least possibly in 2026?
Yeah, if I were giving an elevator pitch on this, I would just say freedom and choices, because that is what we're trying to bring to all the voters across Oklahoma. And when you look at a county like Comanche County, our organization tracks voter registration, which is one of the original indicators to me personally that something needed to be done for us, for all of us. And that is that you have, as of the end of July in Comanche County, you have 61,740 registered voters total in Comanche County, and 26,463 are Republican, and the remainder are not. So you have a lot. You have 15,255 independents. That's a very large percentage of your electorate down there in Comanche County, which explains a lot when you look at election results and you look at how people are feeling about their representation. And I look at even the 2020 results in Lawton and that area, and it is a very mixed group. And the results that we are getting in our state government, in my opinion, really don't reflect that that mixture. And I say that as a lifelong registered Republican, which is kind of part of my bona fides, I think, in this whole process, is that when I started looking at, and I'm not a politician, so it's just something that I noticed and started looking into in 2021. I'm just a person who likes to solve a problem. And when we started assembling a team and looking at research and why are people not voting in Oklahoma, and what does that mean for the state of Oklahoma when we do not vote? We just know that a lot of people think their votes don't matter. And so the case in point really is Comanche County and those 15,255 independents who are never able to fully participate in primaries, which dictate so much of their lives. So most of our big decisions about who will be on a general election ballot, or even if people are unopposed, those decisions are made in the primary elections. And so we just feel that, number one, all of us are paying for these elections, and we should all be able to vote in them. And again, I just think that as a Republican, our spokespeople and our Republicans who support this, we believe that the competition of ideas is where we need to be in discourse, in political discourse and problem solving. So if we think we have the best idea, then we believe we will win. And so we want a healthy discussion about policies and things that really matter to people, and not distractions and not some kind of top-down government. We want bottom-up government where the people are making the decisions. So again, we arrived at an open primary version after much research. We have in multiple polls statewide, we have determined that what the people of Oklahoma want and what makes sense to them is the idea of having a unified primary ballot on which all candidates are listed. And we can get into some detail on what that might look like, but it really unlocks the election system, allows 100% lawful voter, registered voters to participate in the elections that matter and in the elections that they're already paying for.
Can you explain briefly what would look differently? And so explain our sort of semi-closed primary system that we have now in Oklahoma, and explain what your organization wants to see and what voters could vote for come 2026.
Yeah, we're so excited about this. So all of the cities in Oklahoma use a nonpartisan election process. So when you vote for city council, and I think you in Comanche County, you're doing that on August 27th. you're going to have a nonpartisan ballot. So the people in your community who sign up to run they are all facing all the voters, because they are presented on a single ballot, and you don't have division on paper even. So similarly, in our proposal, we would have one primary ballot and all the candidates would appear on it. We have decided to require candidates to list their party affiliation on the primary ballot so that you can be identified. So if somebody really cares about someone being a member of a certain party, they will be able to see that on our proposed ballot. All of those candidates would be campaigning to all the voters instead of a very small segment of their party. And so it's a system we're already using in our cities. We're used to it. We know that our local government enjoys a much higher satisfaction rate than the state legislature, which hovers in the 30s most of the time in terms of percentage approval. And these days, you know, with all of the controversy going on with school funding and mismanagement and all these things, like I haven't pulled that recently, but it's not going to get any better. Okay. And the reason why is because we have politicians statewide who are able to run and win. And in fact, they are almost like coerced into running and winning by catering to a very small segment of our voting population. So when I sit on the bleachers and I talk to people at a restaurant, or my friends, or just people at school, that's not where Oklahomans really want to be. And that is why I founded Oklahoma United, because we believe that Oklahomans are ready for some common sense, and they want choices, and they want to make up their own minds about who they vote for. And they don't want to be told that they are restricted, or they don't want to be told who to vote for. Most of us feel like we want to make up our own minds, and we don't want to be told what to do. So again, that's what our system would do.
So right now we are operating under that closed primary system, basically, where only Republicans can vote in that Republican primary, while Democrats and independent can vote in the Democratic primary. And so, for instance, we have a situation in House District 50 this cycle, where we're about to go into the primary runoff for the August 27th for that House district. And there's only 2 Republicans running. There's no Democrat on the opposite side. And so under this system, only registered Republicans get to choose who represents House District 50. But if your organization's ballot, let's say, question passes in 2026, that's not the case. Democrats and independents will also get to decide that. Is that the case?
Possibly, but I would say here's another scenario that could happen, which I actually think is a positive outcome also. You could still have those 2 Republicans running. They may be the only ones who sign up to run for some reason. Maybe they're the only ones. In that situation, you're going to have 2 Republicans who are going to have to differentiate themselves, and they will be looking at policies and real issues, and they will be trying to distinguish themselves so that the voters still have a choice. Now, right now, there is no choice. If you're a Republican, you're really going to be looking at the most Republican is going to be the Republican on a general election ballot. Okay, and when I say that, I mean someone who is towing the party line. They are espousing positions that come from the top of the party down, and they are, that's how it works, and that's how the money works in politics. What we're talking about is, number one, yes, you're probably going to have more candidates sign up, and when they do, they're going to have a path to win, because they're going to be able to work the middle of the spectrum, and they're going to be able to get those votes. And if there is a case where there are two Republicans running against each other, the same thing is going to happen. It's really going to crack open this partisan system, and it's going to require and motivate all candidates to find out, what do people in the middle really think? What matters to people on the street corner and the small business person, opening up a new coffee shop. Those are the people they're really going to have to start listening and going door to door to door and asking questions, instead of passing you by and passing go and taking their $100 or $200 and moving on. We want to reorient the political system so that it is focused on the people, focused on the voters, and that's what an open primary will do.
And so, just so the listeners fully understand, right now we have Republican primary and Democratic primary. Under your system, if it does pass, it won't be that. It would just be one large primary where everybody can vote on all the candidates running.
Right. So right now we had one of our supporters described it. She said, when I go in to vote, I walk in, and this lady's a registered Republican, and she confided to me, and she said, I just go in and I see that table and this table, and they ask me, how are you, what party are you in? How are you going to vote? And she said, I just want to vote like an American. I don't want to vote. That's how I want to be. And so, yeah, when you walk in to vote under this new system, you will walk in, there will be one table and one ballot. Everybody's going to be on it for any race that is up for election. And we won't have that physical division. We're going to physically bring people together. And I happen to think that that's where we need to start in Oklahoma. If we really want to be a top 10, which I would say maybe we could try for like top 25 to start, but in every metric. But if we really want to make this state better, we need all of our best ideas from every place we can get them. And we are strong, smart people, and we love each other, but we have a system that is designed to put us in opposite corners. And so this ballot, by bringing us together and enabling members of parties to distinguish themselves and really think about what the voters really want, instead of random distractions du jour. I mean, I don't think it's a secret. We all want great public schools, and we want safety, public safety. And what we don't want is wasted money and chaos. And so I think we have a chance to do that when we have a system that allows everyone to fully vote, all these independents. We were last in voter participation in 2020. We're probably not going to do much better this year. Most people tell us they don't vote because they don't think their votes matter. And in the current system we have, I think there's a really strong argument that they don't matter. And I think some of the party officials, across the country in a closed system, they kind of like it that way. It has served their purposes. And, anyone who's lived in Oklahoma, as long as my family has, it was, 40 years ago, it was, 50 years ago, the Democrats ran everything in this state. And a lot of Republicans came up and they said, that's not healthy. We need competition, and we need a watchdog, and we need a two-party system. And so what's happened right now is that it's really just flipped. Now there's another party in charge, and it is still a one-party state, really. And it doesn't really reflect our population. And I think that it engenders a lot of bad feelings. People don't feel like anyone cares about them. They don't feel like anyone listens to them. We're not able to attract major headquarter companies when there's no reason in the world why we should not be able to do that. And yeah, we need to fix the schools. So we all know, like, the elephant is in the room, but we have politicians who are not incentivized to take care of those problems for us.
You mentioned a lot of benefits that could happen from the system if it does pass, but do you think the outcomes at all would change from our political system if this sort of primary election system, as you're describing, would be put into statute?
Yeah, part of the first, well, really the whole first year that Oklahoma United existed, we were doing research. We knew something was wrong. Something is producing the dysfunction that we are looking at every single day in the news here in Oklahoma, right? I mean, I don't want to get into it, but we all know there's a problem. And we all know, if we grew up here, that nothing is really a lot better than it was when we were little. We're still talking about the same problems. And I think a lot of us just want it fixed. And I don't want to run for office. A lot of people don't want to run for office for various reasons. And we shouldn't be compelled to. What we should be able to do and empowered is to give our politicians the information they need so they can go out and do the job for us. So we looked at research from other states that have a similar or different process. Oklahoma is one of only 12 states with a closed primary system. Even Texas has a semi-open in which all independents are permitted to vote, and they are constrained by the ballot. So in Texas, you register to vote and you don't register with a party at all. You just register to vote, which kind of makes a lot of sense. But then when you go to the poll, you have to pick a ballot. You have to decide, do I want to only vote for Democrats or do I only want to vote for Republicans? Our polling shows that Oklahomans do not, and especially Republicans, do not want that system. In fact, they actually rank that really low in terms of preference. What they want is an open system. They prefer an open system where everybody is competing and it's simple, and you just go and you pick your ballot and you move on. So other states that have had a system like what we're proposing, or a variant of it, include a lot of states that we're familiar with. Nebraska has had nonpartisan state elections for, since inception. Like I said, Texas has a semi-open. Louisiana has an open system for most of their elections. Right now, this year, there's a huge groundswell of support for some versions of open primaries as we are talking about them. And South Dakota will be voting on it this fall. Nevada, Colorado, a lot of there are like 6 states that are currently looking at citizen petitions to have an open primary. And most of these are west of the Mississippi, because we were born as states when there was a lot of distrust of government. And so we have this citizen petition right, which, gosh, I guess things haven't changed that much, right? We still have a lot of distrust of government, and we still have this right to a citizen petition. And so because of the system and the way it is, and the entrenchment of, the elite people, I guess I would say, who make all of these policy decisions and pick the candidates for us, the only way we're going to change this is with a citizen petition.
So if somebody's listening to this and they want to help or they want to get more information, how can they do that?
Well, I'm happy you asked. We have a great website with a ton of information about the system. We would love for everyone to go there. Oklahoma, it's ok-united.org. And I'm sure Alex, we can give you the information on that. So we'd love for everyone to sign up, because what we're doing with that information, if you sign up on our website, you're just going to get information occasionally from us about where the petition process stands, and news about from our spokespeople, which we love our all of our, we're a bipartisan or we're a non/bipartisan group, so we welcome anyone from any party. If you are hearing this and you believe that Oklahoma deserves better and that you want choices, then we want you. And so I would love to see people sign up on our website and then follow our social media. And, if they want to do more, we're doing a lot of outreach. I actually went to Lawton last year, I think, and I had a little coffee thing downtown, and it was fun. I'd love to come back. We do a lot of grassroots outreach that includes if anybody wants to have us in their home or the community center or their church or whatever, and they want us to come down there and talk about this and just have a nice civil conversation about the importance of voting and how we can make Oklahoma better with more voters, and putting the people into the process, we want to come down to Lawton and do that. In fact, right now, we also have an internship program. So if there are any young people, students, right now we have 2 amazing interns from Ulaga, Talala up here. We also have an intern from Apache, which is not far from Lawton. We are statewide, and we're always looking for young people who are looking for an outlet. So the website, sign up, reach out. All of the emails come to me. So if those emails, info@, okunited.org, I'm going to see them, and I'm going to engage with you. And we have a lot of things that we're planning to do, including state fairs and things like that. There's just so much, and we're having a great time. And our message is all about being positive and providing a solution to the state of Oklahoma. Instead of sitting on the sidelines and wringing our hands, we're ready to make something better actually happen by empowering voters.
Well, Margaret, I really appreciate you joining me, for this episode and giving us all this information. And, good luck on your efforts on trying to get this on the ballot and getting it passed in 2026.
Yeah, thank you so much, Justin, and would love to come back and talk to you anytime. Feel free to reach out.